Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Dozier. I'm happy to have everyone here for this question and answer session on Saturday, the 16th of August, with a nice, cool day here in Northern California and a nice, cool day, warm day in upstate New York. And it's the same temperature, 76 both places. So, anyway, very, very welcome. I was just been talking with Shelby here for a moment. And Shelby, go ahead and give a brief introduction, or go ask your question again. Go ahead and ask your question. Let's just address that question.
Sure. I have two daughters that have misophonia. My question is, my daughter has her misophonia expressed in her stomach area. And she's, oh, her husband's just walked in. She feels her pain from the stomach area. Now, I know you've said before that that's a very difficult area to treat. I told her about the video, which the reflex finder.
Yes.
And would she benefit from that, even though her misophonia is that central?
The reflex finder is to find the initial physical reflex. Now, some people with their initial physical reflex have, let me just show this on the screen here. I'm trying to figure out where my share button is now on my screen, so excuse me for having my screen slightly blocked. Okay, so what Shelby's talking about is that you hear a trigger or see a trigger, and then you have this physical flinch that occurs, and Shelby's saying that for her daughter, it's her stomach organ inside her stomach cavity, right? It's that internal organ. Shelby, just to confirm, does she have a lot of upset stomach problems, digestive problems?
No, I would not say.
Okay, so my experience is that when a person has the stomach organ being the clenching of the initial physical reflex, then it creates a lot of digestive problems. So if she is feeling it in her stomach, it may be her abdomen is what's clenching, and she's perceiving that as in her stomach.
Okay,
I would
maybe.
I would highly recommend using the Misophonia Reflex Finder app to make very, very minute triggers and see what she can feel at that point.
Okay, thank
so that's
you.
actually good news that she's not having digestive problems.
No, she's not, but the
I've
rest
had
of it is not good news.
I've had less than a handful of people out of 2,000 that have had either a stomach organ or an intestinal clench inside. If it's high in her stomach, it could actually be a breath reflex. So if she's feeling it at the bottom of her sternum, that's where your diaphragm is. And if the action is in that diaphragm, then it may be perceived as stomach. It may also be that her emotional distress is an abdominal or stomach reaction. And in that case, again, if that's the case, it's the secondary, it's the physiological distress reactions that are happening. Okay, but let's go back to the diaphragm. If she's feeling it high in her stomach, then have her breathe in slowly, trigger, and breathing out slowly, trigger, with the reflex finder. Okay, so not a real trigger, but with that tiny little bit of the
Mm-hmm.
reflex finder. And if it's different while she's breathing, then it's actually a breathing reflex or some form of a breath-related reflex.
Okay, so slow inhale, slow exhale.
And if it's different, that means it's a it's a breath reflex. But with the very, very small, you start with the trigger, the reflex finder making a sound so small it does not trigger. And then you bring it up until it just starts to trigger them. So if you a person was giving a rating on a 0 to 10 scale, it would be great if it was a 1 or a 2, maybe a 3. But if they say it's a 5, you're too high, you're getting into the secondary responses as well.
Okay, because she fights me on this. And then she said there's nothing that can happen. Nothing can do. And, I've got to tell her it is. And my family just walked in and walked out. I threw them all out with my hands. So
Yes, I saw you waving there. Thank you so much for that.
okay. So, and if it's gastro and area,
Gastrointestinal, yes.
then it still will work.
No, not necessarily. You have to, I don't know for sure. I have to give you the answer is that I don't know. I would definitely not want to be saying that I personally could make that drastically better. It may be that she needs radical management at that point. So let me give you an example about management of a person who just recently contacted me for getting accommodations in her work. She's a nurse, and so and her trigger is typing, and she's getting the stomach inside whenever she's hearing the typing. So she used a noise app called White Noise by TMSOFT. White Noise Light shows up. It's a little vertical soundbar app. I don't get any commission, but I'm definitely an advocate for that.
Yes, I've watched and heard you several times. Yeah.
And so using that app, she went to the sound rain on a car roof. And rain on a car roof is very clicky, very clicky. And she said that when I put that sound on while I'm working, she says, I don't notice the other people typing.
Okay.
Because she's put a blocking sound, a masking sound in there. So with a gastrointestinal initial physical reflex, the only thing that I know to do is really good management.
So they can't breathe it out or.
Yeah, not right. Not with the techniques that I currently have.
Okay. That's kind of what she was saying.
Okay.
And makes it a little harder because my speech is what bothers her. And I'm a speech pathologist with a master's of science in speech pathology and plus 60, and that's my life. And I can't believe it's my speech.
Okay.
I took it very personally till we knew about misophonia.
Okay, so now I will ask the next question for you is what can you do if a person is triggered by the sound of your voice?
Yeah.
And one of the things that you can do to be able to communicate is to use a voice changer app. So here's an iPhone, and this is the one called Voice Pro 10.
Oh.
And the voice changer app can allow your daughter to put in, let's say, AirPods Pro noise canceling.
Yeah.
Move away, and to put in, let's say, AirPods. Okay, so I'm actually having the app come back and talk to me, so I need to get this app shut off. Okay.
Well, tell it not now.
Not now. Not now. So it's coming with my voice. So with the app, she can turn your voice into a robot voice.
I'm live right now.
And by turning it into a robot voice,
but you're not going to be
on. Then that will drastically change what she's hearing from you. But you can use that real time where you're separated enough that she's not hearing your actual voice. She's hearing it through the modified through the iPhone.
Pads.
Right, right.
Or the phone. Yeah, good.
Right.
Because we have a signal. She doesn't talk to me on the phone. And that seems to be the worst. So if I have an emergency, like my husband got ill, we have a system. I call her, she doesn't answer. I call her again the second time she knows to pick up, that it's more important than misophonia at the moment.
Okay.
But it's still very hard. I turn the phone around so that the sound is up, but it doesn't do it. But this
Okay.
is good. She'll pop in her Voice Pro. Now she's the one who uses the Voice Pro?
Well, the way it works that I'm just describing
Yeah.
is that you would need to be in the same room within Bluetooth distance of each other. Okay, so that you would speak into the phone and she would hear it through the earpods.
Okay, good.
There are voice changers that you could use for telephone, and I'm not sure whether you could do real-time voice changing with this one or not. But that is a possibility, is actually just changing your voice, or with the technology today, use text to speech, and you say it and she reads it off of the text.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that is so artificial. Okay, thank
Well,
you.
it is. So
I made them all wait outside on the porch, so I'm
Okay.
gonna have to go. and talk
all
to
right,
them.
thank you,
I
Shelby.
really appreciate what you do. I see all of your programs after the fact because I work on Saturdays usually, and I really appreciate your efforts.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
So everyone, I came across something last night on the Misophonia Treatment and Management Facebook group, and Ray Stout was talking about what she does in terms of management and the importance of management. The post was actually flagged as we maybe think this one should be deleted, and the post was about here is the video of it. I mean the image here that she had posted there about thumbtacks, and she's talking about management techniques. And in the post, she had a song that she wrote, and I'm going to play that now. The song is called Thumbtacks. And if I can get my screen up here where I can share this with music audio, I will go ahead and play this now. And I have the words here on the screen. Let's see, there's the play button.
There was a boy who heard too much in every creak, a whispered punch, a scraping door, a sniff, a sigh. Each little sound lit up the sky. He wasn't scared without a cause. He flinched because he knew the laws of how the noise comes sharp and quick, like hidden thumbtacks meant to prick. They said it looked like OCD, his rituals, his need to flee. But he wasn't washing hands for fun, he was hiding from a starting gun. A hallway cage, a world on fire. His ears became a barbed wire lyre. He learned to hear the world's disguise. He heard what others didn't realize. You don't fix pain by handing more. You don't teach trust behind a door. Don't call it brave to make them stay when their whole body says run away. You don't cure fear with sharper sound, or find your peace on battlegrounds. The child will come when it feels right if you make the world checklists in his hand. He tapped the boy and said, let's start, but didn't hear the beating heart. He called it treatment, called it good, but never asked if he understood. He never saw the tightened jaw, the flinch that braced the ancient law. Imagine if you always knew a strike might come from out the blue. Would you relax? Could you find grace if thumbtacks chased you place to place? Now picture being only 10 and knowing sound might strike again. You'd guard yourself with all your might, even if it cost you sleep at night. You don't fix pain by handing more. You don't teach trust behind a door. Don't call it brave to make them stay when their whole body says run away. You don't cure fear with louder tones or help a child by leaving them alone. The answer's not to force or fight, it's giving them back their birthright quiet. Let him turn the volume down, let her leave the room. Let them wear their headphones, let the silence bloom. It's not avoidance, it's a breath. It's not a weakness, it's what's left when safety grows. And sound becomes a choice. And maybe then we hear the voice of the child returning because we stopped the pain, because we listened and didn't make them bleed to change.
All right, folks, that's Thumbtacks by Ray Stout. And now I'm looking for how to stop the sharing and get back to you. Okay, and so her point of the post, the reason it was posted is because it was talking somewhat against full accommodations, that whenever a child is triggered, they can run, or a person is triggered, they can run, they can just get away instantly and stay away. And that kind of radical avoidance makes a person constantly looking for the next trigger, where it's going to happen. So good management includes avoidance, it includes adding noise to the room, like I mentioned with the lady who was triggered by typing. She added some clicky sound in her ears to her AirPods. Anyway, I just was very impressed with that song and wanted to share it with you. So if anybody wants to make a comment on that, that's fine. But the point, good management is very important, and good management brings you safely into some connection with
I got a trick for you.
with these sounds. I got a request to share a screen. Was that just a request to talk, or was that Susan?
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear.
Okay. First of all, I loved that song, and I'm new to misophonia as a term, but I've had this since I was a child. I also had an undiagnosed hearing deficit my whole life. I didn't find out till I was 40, and so I'm not sure if that also impacted, because my reaction to other little tiny sounds got in the way of being able to hear speech all my life.
Okay.
One of the things, though, that I put in my hearing aids is Indian flute music. That seems to calm me a little bit in between if I'm with triggering sounds.
Okay.
And I'm her greatest trigger.
Yeah, the people we're closest to, the people who make the sounds the most often are our greatest triggers, because misophonia strengthens with normal exposure. So with a very happy Susan, who's engaged in doing something fun and you're getting little triggers, that can allow that reaction to decay and drop out. We call it counterconditioning. But in the normal world, triggers strengthen misophonia.
A couple things that you to take into account is when you're wearing hearing aids, it's amplified. So anything I do with my fingers or with my speech is amplified in her ears. And secondly, the other sad, family part is, her mom triggers her in the same way because of some characteristic of our two voices or at certain times.
No, it's the mouth, dry mouth. Because
Okay.
it could be
Yeah.
anybody.
So Susan, do you wear hearing aids and you play the Indian flute music through the hearing aids?
I do that when I'm if I know I'm going to be in a quiet spot.
Okay.
If I feel like I'll be trapped, like in a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you. Yes, that good management, it's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
So did you actually have a question in that? Because you made a great comment, but I didn't know that there was a question in there.
Is it common though that mouth sounds are triggering for people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's common. In fact, it's not as common as eating sounds.
Oh, yeah.
Is it certain consonants that trigger you?
No, it's the dry mouth, crinkly sound, or
Slurping.
and then seeing slurping, yeah, and eating.
Yeah. These are very common type triggers
Okay.
that people deal with. So.
Okay, and then are people born with this? That was my other question, or is it something that's learned from family conditioning?
There are people who are genetically more predispositioned to develop misophonia.
Okay.
But going back to the slide that I shared earlier, here's the slide. Let me turn on my. I'm getting ready to turn on my sharing here. So,
Will you be able to share the slides with everybody in the meeting?
I
if
got
you
it.
send me an email, I'll send you a copy of these. But there's not a lot of these that I'm not going through a set of slides really. There's a couple I have, but
It would be helpful for me.
I can.
anybody who asks for the slides, send me an email and I'll send you an extract of this. But so when misophonia, let's see, I'm going to go way back to where I normally use it when I provide treatment for people. So if we look at misophonia is generally perceived this way. I hear the sound and I get angry. It's like an instant anger jerk. And then once you're angry, you have this physiological distress response, this yucky feeling after you've been triggered, and you leave the room or tell them to stop. This is what people with misophonia experience. But what our research indicates is that you hear the sound and somewhere in your body, there is a physical response, a jolt. Some people feel it in their neck or shoulders. Some people feel it, they stop breathing. Some people, their toes curl. And so this physical reflex is a learned reflex. And the way this is learned is by your brainstem, which I call it's your autonomic nervous system. I like to jokingly call it your lizard brain. And when once upon a time, you heard a sound, you may have had a thought that wasn't right. Many people with misophonia are perfectionists, so they're kind of black and white. It was right or wrong. And since that was a wrong sound, you tighten some muscle in your body. And you do that 5 times, and your lizard brain sees that pattern and says, oh my goodness, I can do that for you. And so then you hear the sound and it zaps you. It bumps you. It tasers you a little bit. And then that triggers these emotions. And the emotions are so strong that a person with misophonia experiences it this way. This little brief bump to the body is nothing compared to these emotions that we have. So, but it's a learned physical flinch disorder. I've told the story many times, and I tell it to all of my patients, that people often with misophonia develop these, or people develop these reactions to stimuli that's normally distressing or difficult. So surgeons with pagers, back in the olden days before we had our cell phones, a surgeon would get a pager. One particular surgeon, Gene Lipoff, was a trauma center surgeon. That was his first job as a surgeon, was a trauma center surgeon. And a trauma center is where your most horrible accidents go. You know, it's always a matter of life and death, and it's always gruesome. And so he got this pager. Pager goes off, and he thinks, oh no, what horrible thing am I going to face this time? So there was a sound, burp, there was a thought, and there was his shoulders tightening. Now, the lizard brain doesn't see the thought. It just knows pager, shoulders, pager, shoulders. So after about a month, it was burp. Oh, I better call in and let him know I'm coming. And I said, Gene, how long did that shoulder flinch persist? He says, until I got a different job and got rid of my pager. Every time the pager went off, my shoulders went up. That's Pavlovian conditioning. And that's what drives misophonia. Now, if you can determine your initial physical reflex, so then you can relax that area of your body so that your lizard brain learns that it's doing the wrong thing and it will start to back down. So, for example, my wife developed a trigger sometime, maybe let's call it 8 years ago, after we knew about misophonia, to her chickens squawking. Now, these are her pet chickens. We're empty nesters. I have the downstairs guest bedroom looking out with a window looking out over the garbage cans and the firewood, and she has the garden side over on the dining room side looking out over her chicken aviary. And she's got these little bar on the front of her window that I put there so the chickens can hop up and tap on the window and she can feed them. These are her little pets, but they were driving, she said, they're driving me crazy. They're squawking too loud. And she was concerned. So she heard them squawk and she had the thought, I hope this doesn't bother the neighbors. And when she had that thought, I hope this doesn't bother the neighbors, she held her breath. So after this happened several times, when they squawked loudly all together, she stopped breathing. It's like she was getting tasered in her chest. And so her treatment was slow, steady breathing when the chickens were squawking. And the reflex died out and it's gone. So triggers can go away if you do the right thing when you're triggered. And you need to relax, focus on other things, and carry on. But you also need to have it to be relatively small triggers. And so this is where you can add noise to the room so that the trigger is not as noticeable, and so the perceived severity of the trigger goes down. Okay, yes.
First of all of this, can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Because if you hit the space bar, it will unmute.
Too loud.
Okay.
Hearing all this, especially when you refer to the response as a taser-like experience,
Yes.
as a non-misophonic person,
Yes.
living with one is helpful to me to understand this and have more empathy to it, because it has certainly created some, conflicts and issues in our relationship, because seeing my wife cower and wince at my, innocent noises.
Yes.
A powerful stimulus, and having some kind of strategies to sort of ameliorate that is just really wonderful. And thank you for all of this, Tom.
You're very welcome. Yeah. But when a person with misophonia is triggered, it's as if they are being physically assaulted. So this is my misophonia imitator here. So It's trigger, trigger, and but with misophonia, you are being physically assaulted by, it's not your other person, it's your own little lizard brain, your autonomic nervous system that's tasering you. But still, you're being physically assaulted. And then the research shows that the emotions with misophonia is a learned emotional reflex from being assaulted so many times. And so it's not a choice. With misophonia, you can decide you're not going to let it bother you, and you can sit there physically, and your mind is going rage, disgust, anger, and because it's like, think of misophonia like sweating. You just don't have a choice when you're going to sweat and when you're not going to sweat. Okay, so it's tough on the people around the person with misophonia, but it's tougher on the person with misophonia because they're the one being assaulted by their own little lizard brain. All right, so can anybody have a question now? You can unmute yourself, and yes, go ahead, Marlene. Marilee.
Merrily. So I'm new to this and I don't have this issue. My question is whether my husband does minimally.
Okay.
So if I'm chewing something like an apple, it
Yes.
really bothers him. So I try to like chew on the side where he is,
Yeah.
or not be close to him when I'm chewing.
Yep.
Is that a misophonia symptom?
I'd bet your paycheck on it. Absolutely. That's exactly misophonia. That's exactly it. I have met with over 2,000 people, and out of that 2,000, maybe 3 we figured out we thought it wasn't misophonia. So virtually any time a person is hearing a normal sound and they go, "Oh, I can't stand that sound," that's misophonia.
His sister's a little bit like that too.
Okay. Now, let me go back and I'm going to explain. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but there is an app called the Misophonia Reflex Finder app. And so I've got 3 apps on the iPhone. And this purple head is Misophonia Reflex Finder, and it's a free app. And so it comes up with a screen like this, and you can touch the reflex test, and you can scroll down and find a sound that you think would trigger him. Carrot chewing, for example, okay? And then you can set it up here. You can I tell people to turn your phone volume to maximum, and then the settings up here are very precise. So right now, I'm going to put it like at 1% volume, 1% volume for 300 milliseconds. And then hitting this little death symbol up here will play it 1 time. And that will allow a person to hear that sound very softly. And when it bumps them just a little bit, they can notice where in their body they're feeling it. That's how we did it. That's what we did the test with my wife. And she felt it in her chest. And so chest reflexes are usually breathing related. And so if it's a breath reflex, you breathe in slowly and you hit the play button and you breathe out slowly.
In through your nose or your mouth.
Doesn't matter. We just want a slow willful breath while you play the trigger. And if breathing changes the severity of the trigger, then it's a breath reflex. And if it's a breath reflex, then if you do slow, steady breathing while small triggers are occurring, it will die out.
If he did small, steady breathing, I could eat an apple.
Maybe you could eat an apple from a distance, and he could do the breathing and have it where it was tolerated, and he could focus on watching the football game or whatever. And that would start to allow that reflex to decay and die out. In fact, if it's mild, yeah, it may just be that if he's breathing, it's enough to change that physical sensation and allow the lizard brain to let it go. So your brain stem, your autonomic nervous system, has the ability to learn reflexes. So it hears a sound and it watches the bodies for about 2.5 seconds. It goes, nothing's happening. Here's another crunch and it goes, oh, they're tightening this shoulder muscles. Crunch, tightening the shoulder muscles. Crunch, tightening the shoulder muscles. Oh, that I can do that for you, and Mr. Adams. And then it's crunch, boom. And then it says, because the lizard brain is neurotic and insecure, its only job is to follow you. So it goes, did I do the right thing? And if the person with the misophonia goes, relax, he goes, I made a mistake and I'll back down. Normally, he hears the crunch, it hits his muscles, he kind of goes, I don't like that. And the lizard brain goes, good, I did the right thing, I predicted correctly, I will keep doing it. Or
No, I understand that.
and it strengthens with normal experience, right? It gets stronger and stronger and stronger with normal experience. So,
Okay.
Go ahead, question.
2 other questions. In general, I mean, he's an incredibly smart, talented doctor, artist, everything, and can be very reactive. Is that, I mean, like that, is that misophonia?
Is he being reactive to the fact that something he's doing didn't work right, to his painting didn't come out the way he wanted it, or is he reacting to an external sound or sight?
That I'm aware of, external and often related to me.
Okay. So yes, that is very much misophonia. We find in
I'm watching the 2 of you.
Shirley, we need to form a support group.
So, okay. So if we look at misophonia, I'm looking for my sharing tab and I
I don't
don't
even know
find it.
how I heard of this. I mean, I'm a psychologist. I never heard of this before.
Because it's not in the DSM.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
I'll give a brief history in a second. So the study was done in 2015, presented at the Misophonia Association Convention and published in 2017, where they had people listen to misophonia triggers and they said, what's lighting up? So when a person with misophonia experiences a trigger, there's the external sound, there's the internal muscle flinch. It relays out to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is an emotional reflex learning structure. It takes like odors and makes them feel good when you smell certain things. So it takes this experience and it says, oh yeah, that's anger and disgust, and it relays back, and then it fires down into the amygdala and hippocampus, and you get the emotional explosion. So his conclusion is that the emotions with misophonia are a reflex. They are a learned emotional reflex reaction. So a person with misophonia, they hear the sound, they feel the sound, their head explodes with emotions, and so emotional outbursts are extremely common in the field in misophonia. That is like the universal thing is I hear that sound and I feel rage. So does that answer that question adequately?
Yeah, now I still have 2 because I just
Okay.
got.
Go ahead. I love questions.
So, the first one is sometimes he will say, I'll raise my voice like a little bit, and he'll go, stop shouting at me. And I'm not shouting.
My kids used to say, Dad, don't yell at us. And I said, I'm not yelling. I'm not raising my voice. And my daughter says, Dad, you don't need to raise your voice to yell at us. And it's that tone. When you raise it, there's an intensity in the tone, probably, is my guess. Maybe
But-
not, maybe not, but but that often happens, is there's an intensity in the tone, and it's not just the volume, it's the tone that shows a level of stress or demand that can then become a trigger.
His interpretation of whatever it is I can't think of it. Yesterday, he asked me something and I said, I don't remember what it was, but I responded with either me or you, just the one word. And he
Okay.
goes, don't shout at me. And I wasn't shouting.
Okay, then it probably triggered, and because it triggered him, it came through very strong.
But then his interpretation, like you shout all the time, I do not.
But again, if it triggers him, it is an extremely strong, visceral jab to him, and it feels as if you're shouting. So
Which I understand. I appreciate that.
okay.
Where can I read something simple? Is there a book or things on your website that I
There's
can learn more about it or that I could share with him?
Sure. Go to misophonia.org. And there's tons of pages about what is misophonia there. In fact, that has most of my first edition book, Understanding and Overcoming Misophonia.
Oh, there's a book.
There's a book. And unfortunately, it is 10 years old or 8 years old now, the current version, but it's still, so some of the treatments have been enhanced since then, but the fundamental what misophonia is and how it works is all correct in that book.
Is that available on Amazon?
Absolutely.
Good.
And I was going to say also on that misophonia.org, which is really the Misophonia Institute.org, our nonprofit, it has a video page, and the #1 video is Misophonia, what is it? And so
Good.
it's a very simple explanation. It's not the volume, it's not a fear of it, it's the fact that these sounds are jabbing you.
It's experienced as a physiological trigger or assault. Like
Yes, absolutely. And so I have a little video, not a video, I have a slide here I want to show that we did a research study, and it can be found if you go to Google Scholar. Are you familiar with that? Google Scholar, Marilee. It's scholar.google.com, and it's a great search engine for journal articles. Anyway, this article, Dozier and Morrison, 2017, we had 26 people. We had them hear tiny bits of triggers using that, just making very, very small sounds. And 100% of the people had a physical sensation. And these arrows showed locations where people felt things. And so, jaw, neck, shoulders, chest, hands, toes, calves, everybody had a physical sensation when they heard a tiny bit of a trigger. And I do get some people that can't identify it. So it's not absolutely 100% can identify it, but it's very normal that they identify it. And if he identifies that it's in his shoulders, he needs to relax when he hears a trigger, or wherever it is. But that relaxing and then having triggers is what allows it relax before and through the trigger, helps to make it go away. All right, another question, Marilyn. You're asking great questions.
No, those were if I think of another one, I'll ask.
Okay, so raise your hand or speak up if you'd like to ask a question.
Hi, Tom. This is Kimberly. I'm sorry,
Hi.
I don't know how to work the iPad or raise my hand. Longtime follower you. I've had miso my whole life. I'm 67. I've read every one of your books. Marion, I would highly recommend Jane Gregory's Sounds Like Misophonia. I've been through cognitive behavioral therapy through the Duke University. I've talked with Zach Rosenthal. I think I could write the book on miso myself. My question to you is, I'm sitting here with my husband, and as couples and this coming in between your relationship, how can you tell my husband here not to take my reactions to his noises personally? I've tried to explain to him not to take it personally, but he takes it personally every time I say, stop making that sound.
Okay, great question. I answered it last week, but I'd be happy to answer it again very briefly here. Misophonia is a learned reflex condition. It includes a physical flinch or taser to your body, and includes an emotional explosion reflex. It's not a choice. If anybody says another person can't make you mad, you have to let them make you mad, that's not true with misophonia. With misophonia, you are jabbed and it's an emotional explosion reflex. So misophonia reflexes are like sweating. They're meaningless in terms of the relationship with the person, how you feel about the other person. It is just something that hits your brain, and once you feel that anger, it's going to come out. It's going to come out of your face, and even if you try to not let it come out, it comes out because you're angry. And so it's an accidentally developed reflex. Is not a measure of how you feel about your husband. However, I will say good management goes a long way, and a lot of kindness and affection when triggers are not occurring can help to strengthen the bond and the perception of your husband that you really do love him. It's hard to cuddle up with somebody who's just triggered you, but if you can, right? Because it's an overall physiological response. But if you can get past that and make sure you have, good positive affection, it goes a long way.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Marilee.
This is to Elena. What is Jane Gregory? Is that a book about it?
Oh, let me answer that. Okay. Jane Gregory is a misophonia researcher in England, and she has a very good book, Sounds Like Misophonia. However, I want to make everyone aware that there are different views about misophonia, and most people who research misophonia, all of the professors except one or two that I've worked with, they'll see that misophonia is a condition where you hear a sound and it triggers this emotional reflex. Okay, we don't know why. It's this neurological condition. People hear a sound and they're just instantly angry, and we don't know why.
Is it always auditory? Is it ever visual?
Oh, a visual, tactile, vibrations. It can be any sensory modality, but the vast majority of the people I've surveyed, about 99% first trigger is an auditory sound, maybe even 99.5%. Okay, so what we see misophonia actually is you hear a sound and there's a physical jab to your body, and that physical jab then triggers these intense negative emotions. So Jane Gregory's book talks about misophonia as a model A, not C. But other than that, it's an excellent book.
Okay, great.
Okay. Another question, anyone? Oh, no, actually, I'm gonna give an answer here that for Marilee. So Marilee, misophonia, the reason you haven't heard of misophonia is it's not in the textbooks. It's not in the DSM, it's not in the ICD. It was first identified in 1997 by audiologist Marcia Johnson, who had a tinnitus clinic and had these parents bringing their teenage girls to them that had this exploded when they heard these sounds. And she called it soft sound sensitivity syndrome. Later changed that to selective sound sensitivity syndrome, or 4S. 4 years later, Pavo Yastreboff and his wife published and gave it the name misophonia, meaning hate sounds. And so that's why it's called misophonia. But this is only, 28 years ago, and it's still argued over as to what misophonia actually is. So it's not in the textbooks, and you're just on your own to hear about it.
So what did it say? Meso part means what?
Dislike or hate.
Oh, hate
So
sound?
dislike or hate, and phonia is sound. So it's like dislike the sounds.
Okay.
But it's actually not disliking a specific sound, it's the reaction it gives you. Yes, I see Susan, I see Mr. Cahill there.
I'm Brian. I'm not Mr. Cahill. Brian Bacharis is my name.
Okay, Brian.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask you for your slides and any recording of this, because this has been very helpful to me.
Okay.
It's
Well,
beyond that too. Could you repeat the name of the audiologist that discovered this? Because
Marcia Johnson.
Oh, then Susan wrote it down.
yeah, and Marcia Johnson is the president and founder of Misophonia Association. And the Misophonia Association convention is going to be in the Dallas area at the end of October this year. So if you go to misophonia-association.org, you can find out information about the Misophonia convention, and it's a great place for people like the two of you to go where, Brian, people understand you, and Susan, they will understand you too, and
Well, and when I wanted just to mention this for Marilee's edification, that Susan is a psychotherapist and a dance movement therapist, and you can imagine on a professional level how this can be challenging to her as a individual in pursuit of these ends and means. So, gosh, this has been so helpful, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. If anyone wants to start a support group, I'm of
think there is
partners,
one.
I'm in.
Well, actually, I do have a thought. Is the question, is this personal? Would be a brilliant question. So when you're with somebody who has that triggered reaction, if you just ask, is this personal? The answer is going to be no. And then that can stop the loop of reaction, reaction, reaction.
And I must respond to that. You have been taking it personal, and I must say, this just alone, this today has been helping me understand that I should not.
Yeah, sorry to, but it has nothing to do with you.
yeah, I had I don't remember where this was, a Facebook comment or whatever, but this one lady was saying, as a teenager, my stepfather triggered me horribly. She said, and I adored my stepfather. He was the best person in my life. He was wonderful, but his triggers were horrible. So it's not a measure of relationship.
Was it his voice? I mean,
I think it was just movements and little things that he made, little actions that she had started noticing. It can be any sort of a thing. I know a woman who said, as a girl, her mother was complaining about her father's OCD-ish behaviors. And the girl goes, what are you talking about, Mom? And Mom goes, those right there and there and there. And then she started noticing them, and they all became triggers to her.
oh,
But it was nothing until Mom pointed out, look at this, notice this, it's bad.
Hmm.
All right, another question. This has been a fun session today. By the way, I have a question for Marilee and Susan. Did you hear about this through an email from me, or did you hear about it? Okay, so you'll get notices again.
Yeah.
Okay. So so Susan, watch for the notice about next week's session. It'll have the link, but I will respond to all. I respond to all emails. Okay, so do we have another question here?
I have a question.
Okay, please.
It's about my daughter.
Okay,
I might have a new trigger for you.
I doubt it.
Probably,
But that's
I
okay.
don't know. She's 15
Okay,
and she's had misophonia symptoms for probably 10 years.
okay,
She has lots of different triggers
okay,
all over the place. Luckily, I don't trigger her yet, so that's good.
okay,
The one that is the most annoying to us is probably her trigger of foreign languages.
okay,
And I have implemented a no going out of the house without carrying headphones rule.
okay.
Because when we go into stores,
Yes.
if it's very emotional for me, because it feels like we're being racist, because when she sees a foreign person, she has a reaction. I'm sorry, it's just very emotional. Because we're not like that.
Okay.
And but she has to wear her headphones every time we go into any stores.
Okay.
A lot of times a store will announce things in Spanish, and that really
Yeah.
bothers her. And I just want to know how I can start to get her past this. This one developed when she started going to a dual language school.
Okay.
We're from Texas, and preschoolers in Texas learn colors and numbers in Spanish, and
Sure.
it's totally normal, and it never bothered her
Right.
until we went to the dual language school, and so many of the teachers and students were speaking Spanish so quickly, and she could not keep up, and it just started to cause her so much anxiety.
Okay.
And so it's just such a huge trigger for her now. It's moved into anybody who she thinks might be speaking another language.
Okay. So first off, there is treatment for misophonia.
I've
And-
tried. Every time I mention this, people are just like, they don't return my calls. They don't answer my emails. They tell me they don't know.
I will. Okay. And
Yeah.
the problem is that most of the people who are working to provide treatment for misophonia are trying to provide treatment for this misophonia. She hears a foreign language, and for some unknown reason, she freaks out and gets angry. But our research clearly says there is a physical reaction in her body, and if
Yeah.
she can relax with small amounts of triggers, then that will decay. It will die out.
Yeah.
Or it can die out with the right situation. We call it counterconditioning, not exposure therapy. It's not tolerate this until it goes away. It is, like for my wife, it was breathing steadily when the chicken started squawking. For another person, it's relaxing their shoulders when certain stimuli are going to happen. For this one young lady, it was watching movies with her mom and keeping her tongue relaxed, because when she heard a trigger, her tongue raised up in her mouth to the roof of her mouth. And
Right.
so by eliminating this physical reflex, you can drastically change the misophonic reactions, and they can decay. Not that we're 100% successful, but we are generally. I wouldn't keep doing this if I wasn't helping people, because it's not fun when you have somebody you can't help.
Yeah.
So send me an email. I'll have the Tom at misophonia.org works for me. I have a ton of email addresses,
Okay.
and you start very gently. This is not for horrible, difficult triggers. This is bringing them down, so it's just barely a bump to the body, and you can get the brain stem changing and letting go of that learned or conditioned reflex. Now, there's two things that I want to basically comment on about your daughter's misophonia. So, anticipatory anxiety is a very real part of misophonia, but
I've explained that to her.
it's not the
Yeah.
misophonic trigger reaction. So
Okay.
most likely when she sees a person, a foreigner, she is becoming anxious that she's going to get triggered. And so that's not a
Right.
misophonic reaction.
Okay.
Okay. That's a clear and present danger.
Oh, okay.
Okay. To signal that she's going to get zapped. And
Okay.
so it could become a trigger. You could have a
Right.
visual trigger of seeing a person that's a foreigner, but mostly it's anticipatory anxiety.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And
we're
then the
dealing
actual,
with like layers of anxiety here.
yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and if the actual sound of their voice, if that's the only trigger, when that voice
Yeah.
stops triggering them, then there's no need to react to a clear and present danger, because it's not a danger anymore. And that
Yeah.
the anticipatory anxiety can go down.
We have tons of friends of all different ethnicities, and as long as she knows that they speak English clearly,
Mm.
they're not a threat at all.
Yeah.
It's just yeah. The frustrating thing is she's autistic, and she has well, she doesn't like being told to breathe through things. That's kind of a trigger for her as well. So you can't just, people out in public will say, "Oh, honey, just breathe." And they're just triggering her even more by saying that.
Okay.
It's so
Well,
frustrating.
yeah, and mostly it's relaxed before and through it, but with small triggers while she's having fun and engaged in something positive.
Yeah.
That's the treatment that I provide. I call it counterconditioning.
Yeah, that could help. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Questions, anyone? Oh, the
One of my
silence.
triggers now, I've had misophonia probably 50 years, not heard of. And I've had various triggers over the years, some more severe than others. Currently, it's my partner's voice. We've been together 35 years, and it's only in the last, I don't know how long, 5, 10 years. I don't know why. I mean, he's got quite a deep voice. But that is one of my main triggers, and it makes life so difficult.
Yes, that's a horrible trigger when the person's voice, and is it tolerable to you or intolerable? How does it trigger all the time or sometimes?
Sometimes, but it puts me on in that fight flight mode where I'm anticipating and will it, won't it? And it's our social life has, since this has started with him, has shrunk down. So because of that.
Okay, so the first thing that I would recommend that you do is you try to identify what's happening in your body from your brainstem, from your autonomic nervous system, your lizard brain, when you are triggered by his voice. And if it's a situation where his certain word triggers you or a certain tone triggers you, and he can make just a very small trigger statement, just like Marion, and if that's gonna, but you want a little trigger, because with a little trigger, if you rate your triggers on a 0 to 10 scale, where 10 is the most horrible and 0 is not trigger it at all, if it's at a 1 or a 2, you can typically notice where in your body it's hitting you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you know where it's hitting you, then you know you can learn how to relax or control that part of your body, so that when it starts triggering you, you relax or breathe, whichever the case may be. And it starts giving the feedback to the brainstem that it's doing the wrong thing. It's predicted incorrectly. And therefore, if it predicts incorrectly, it will start to die down and die down and die down and die down.
Mm-hmm.
So that knowing what to do in those situations is very important for the treatment that I provide.
Yeah.
And I do this as a behaviorist.
Yeah. I mean, it manifests in the pit of my stomach.
I would have to, again, Marion, I'm going to come back to this model here. And let me start, well, let me get all the way back to what I typically use when I'm providing treatment here, and say that this is a simplified model of misophonia. And what people with misophonia experience is this. So your stomach is probably the distress response that you're feeling after you're triggered. Probably. Okay? That at least 90% of the people I work with describe their misophonia with this model. But this is what's really happening. And so it takes a very weak trigger that doesn't, if you can get a trigger where you don't feel the emotions, that's the level that you will identify this physical reflex. Okay? Is it high in your stomach or low in your stomach?
Oh, it's kind of just right in the middle of me.
Right in the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this is very hard to perceive, because this is what most people with misophonia experience. I hear the sound, I'm angry, and my stomach is all tense and tight or upset or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks.
Another question, anyone?
Well,
Elena was moving her lips there. If you have a question, you need to unmute yourself. No, you're still muted, and I don't think I can unmute you. So if you find you're unmuted, we're going to go back to Mary Lee. There you go. Yes, go ahead.
Say hi. Oh, this has been amazing. I did not learn that this condition had a name until I was 70 years old. And it started when I was probably about maybe 10.
Mm-hmm.
Couple things I'm interested in. I don't want to forget the questions. One is, how does the brain, or is it just random, choose who the target's going to be? And I mean by the target, who I'm going to focus on. Something about that person is going to become a trigger at some point.
Okay, let me answer that question first. The brain is not focusing on that. You are focusing on that.
Okay.
It's something that's brought your attention to that person, to something that person is doing and you're watching that person or noticing that person. And
Wow.
usually it is the fact they do something that, because you're a bit of a perfectionist and a black and white thinker, you think that's not right. They didn't do that right. That wasn't polite. It wasn't nice. It wasn't the gentle touch. What, it wasn't right. And when you think that wasn't right, you react some way, and with a physical reaction.
That's not my experience at all, Tom.
What's your
Because
experience?
with my older sister, and it's been really bad with her.
Okay.
Her feet walking on the tile floor in a
Okay.
home in Palo Alto
Okay.
was the trigger. I could barely hear it, but she was mean to me my whole life. So I thought it was definitely connected to my relationship with her.
It probably was, because you have to have a sound, a thought, and a reaction. Sound, thought, reaction. So you
yeah.
have a sound of her.
Yeah.
You have a thought of when she poked you last, or what she had said to you, and you reacted.
Okay.
Okay.
It was all the time.
So it was again, it's a sound. Your brainstem notices the sound. You have a thought. Brainstem does not notice the thought.
Okay.
You have a physical reaction. Sound, thought, reaction. Do that 5 times, and your brainstem says, Elena, I can see the pattern here. I can do that for you automatically so that you don't have to do it. And then it's sound, and it bumps you, and it says, did I do the right thing? And because it's more annoying, you go, ah, and tighten that muscle. And it goes, oh, good, I predicted correctly, but next time I'll hit it a little harder. And it just builds and builds and builds.
So are you saying there's not necessarily a relationship issue with the person who becomes your target?
Correct. Not necessarily. It can be anything that brings your attention to that stimulus.
Well, then why is it always an intimate? Because it has been in my life, either a partner, my mother, or my sister, always an intimate of mine.
Well, first off, you've brought out that in your case, there were relationship issues.
Yes.
Right.
With all of
right.
them.
So then you're a case where there's relationship issues. I had another man, my wife, whose chicken started squawking, and that was triggering her because she was concerned that it would bother the neighbors. I have another man who had mockingbirds chirping outside of his bedroom window, and the male mockingbird chirps 24 hours a day. And he said there, oh, those damn birds, and he's getting goosebumps on his arms, and that was his first trigger. So it can be anything that is just happening, annoying. We got a lot of stuff during COVID where people were hearing a neighbor making sounds, and through the walls of your house, and they're doing it all day. And so it can be and there's people who have some genetic tendencies who are more black and white perfectionists, and when they think they did that wrong, and then they react to it.
It's interesting. I don't see myself as a perfectionistic person, and I know what it means, but
okay.
For me, it just always seemed to be somebody who I would either love a whole lot, like my mother. I couldn't stand her eating. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. And then my sister, who really I hated. She was so mean to me. So I thought there was a connection there, but you're saying not necessarily.
There could be. Not necessarily, but there could be, not from the love typically, but you could have developed a trigger to your sister eating. And once you developed the trigger to your sister eating, you started noticing that your mom sounded like your sister, and it picked up the reflex, and it spreads. Misophonia typically spreads over time.
The other question is, I don't experience myself feeling rage when I'm triggered. All I feel is I gotta get out of here now.
Okay. Well, then
it's about get out of here. You can't tolerate this.
Then you're getting that physiological jolt to your body, and you want to escape and get away from it. And that's, by the way, the getting away, escaping the trigger is very universal.
Yeah.
And you just must be a kinder, gentler woman to not have the rage. Some people get very aggressive,
I
violent. They
know.
want to choke the other person.
I've heard that. I've read a lot.
Yeah.
And I
So
want, go ahead.
you're just a gentle soul.
Well, my mother's eating was the worst. And I
Okay.
loved my mother. So it was,
Yeah.
you know what? The result of my misophonia was I could not eat a meal with her, which
Yeah.
was really serious because I
It's
loved.
really tough. Yeah. Very, very tough.
Okay.
All right. Did you have another question? You said you had a couple.
I did.
We'll
You're
come
so
back.
you are so nice and wonderful. And you're in Northern California, right?
I am Livermore.
And I was from San Francisco. So I should have gone and seen you then, but I can still do that.
You can still, I do it I work by Zoom video chat also.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice
So,
meeting you.
nice to meet you, Elena.
Are you near Santa Rosa?
I lived in Santa Rosa, but I'm now in Washington State.
Okay. Tom, are you near Santa Rosa?
I'm east of Oakland, about 30 miles.
Okay. We're going there next week.
Okay. So
do you see patients, Tom?
I do mostly by Zoom.
You prefer that?
Well, I just do it mostly by Zoom because they're not local. They're not,
Okay.
they're not here.
Okay.
So,
Thank
all
you.
right, Marilee, you had a comment.
Question, and then, so if my chewing triggers him, but not all the time, that seems pretty minimal, I mean, we eat together all the time, but it's when I chew something that's crunchy.
Hmm.
Right.
So in that case, the remedy is don't eat crunchy things around him.
That is definitely a way of managing it. So,
I mean, this is no biggie.
right.
The thing with raising my voice, which is, I just, it's so rare for me to do that. It's actually
Mhm.
rare for me to get angry, much less raise my voice. But the result for me is very inhibiting in terms of, I really want to make a point about this, or I really want to, whatever. How do I cope with that? Because I inhibit myself from saying whatever I need to say because I don't want to have
Yeah.
both the content and the delivery be
Right. Marilee, that's a tough situation because, my wife would say to me, Tom, you're not at work. Don't use your work voice on me. It wasn't triggering, but she didn't like it. I was an engineer for 30 years, so an engineering manager. So, my emphatic work voice. So I don't know, Marilee. I really don't know. And is it worth working on it? Is it worth working on that trigger so that you can counter condition it and bring it down?
What are you looking for?
So that it doesn't, it doesn't trigger him the same way.
I actually think it's a different remedy, which is that we should talk about it together better.
That would be good too, right? And for him to understand that he needs to relax in those situations, that you're not doing that to attack him, because his brainstem is attacking him.
Okay. This is really helpful. I appreciate it. I mean, I understand it's a very small subspecialty, but inside it, there are a lot of people who suffer. I can easily see that.
So there was misophonia is far more common than you would think. There was a psychological center in Spain that did a study, and they did at intake, they ask the people, why are you here? And then let us, evaluate you. And 2% of the people were coming to this psychological center because of trouble with sounds of other people and things.
Really?
Right, for misophonia. But when they evaluated the people for misophonia, an additional 33% qualified with a misophonia diagnosis. So a third of the people coming to that center had misophonia.
Right.
Misophonia is very common, especially in clinical populations.
Is it more frequent by gender or ethnicity or geography or anything like that?
Great question. I can speak to gender. It is not more frequent by gender, but women tend to have more severe misophonia than men.
Hmm.
So that you would, coming into a clinic, you would have more women coming for help and seeking help than you would men because of the severity of women.
Well, and what would their complaint be? Their presenting complaint be?
Of that other, it could be I have anxiety, it could be I have depression, it could be I'm whatever presenting complaint that you might have of somebody coming to you for help, psychological help.
So it sounds to me like this is the kind of thing like on a normal intake. If more mental health professionals knew about this, they could include some kind of diagnostic question, whether the person understood what it was for or not.
Right.
It could be a dual diagnosis thing.
Yes, absolutely. And misophonia is generally it's a unique singular condition. It's much more compartmentalized than other comorbidities of, let's say, OCD and anxiety or depression and OCD, how they're more intertwined. With misophonia, it's if I'm not hearing specific sounds, it doesn't matter. I'm fine. Everything's great. When I hear that sound, it's like, oh, can't stand that sound, right? So it can be addressed individually. And I know one psychologist who told me that she had a person with mild OCD and misophonia, and when they resolved the misophonia, the OCD went away.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
No, I agree, but that's where, again, comorbidities affect each other, but misophonia is a very distinct condition that
Well,
way.
it sounds like you have work to do
Hey, can I?
in the professions.
Yes,
Have fun.
and in fact, for the last 12 years and 11 months, almost, I've been looking for someone to do research with to establish that misophonia is in fact this reflex condition. And because it was just shown to me by people I worked with early on. And last year I met Sam Spencer at the University of North Texas, and Misophonia Institute funded a research study there. We donated $32,000. The people donated it to us, and then we passed it on to him. $32,000 to run a misophonia treatment study based on this model of I hear a sound, I have a flinch, I have an emotional explosion.
And what
so
was the result?
Oh, it's just starting. It's just starting at the University of North Texas.
Well, that's very exciting. And then
Yes.
when you have your results, then you put them in your newsletter or something.
Oh, I will definitely shout it loud and clear. I will.
Sure.
So, Elena, yes.
Hi, I've been writing down my questions and it might be too much, but let me just say them all. So otherwise I'll forget them anyway. First of all, do you believe there's any, what connections do you believe might be, what do you think might be connected with misophonia in that area of mental health? In other words, I've read that there might be a connection between misophonia and autism.
Okay, so I will say that I feel that the strongest connection, by the way, anybody can develop misophonia under the right circumstances. It's normal. It's normal human neurology. Normal neurology. The most common characteristic that I have seen was a study that found that 97% of the people with misophonia in the study were perfectionists. And perfectionists are typically black and white. It's right or wrong. And when somebody does something that didn't meet their rules, it's wrong, and they did it wrong. They did it wrong, and they're reacting to that they did it wrong.
That's interesting.
So that's, to me, is the best connection, but it can develop to anybody.
Yeah, that's not me. A couple more
Right.
questions. That's more my sister.
Okay.
My sister is a doctor in at UC. She's very smart. We have issues. Okay. When I told her I had misophonia, she refused to believe it or to try and understand it. The family dynamics are that bad.
Okay.
That's
And your
not-
question.
Right. So that is just really a statement.
Well, because also misophonia is an invisible condition.
Yeah.
And most people would say, I hear you shuffle your feet and I want to punch you in the face. And that's like, no, you're crazy. So,
Right.
okay.
But
Next.
she's intelligent enough to know that this could exist because she's got very good.
Not necessarily, because it is not in the DSM, it's not in the ICD, and if it's not in the DSM or ICD, it doesn't exist.
I told her it did, and I tried to send her information. She's closed.
That's okay. Good. Next question.
Okay, question. I also have the form of misophonia that goes into movement. I know there's
That's a visual. We call it a visual trigger.
I have
There's
that.
been a name put on it, but that name is not used anymore. It's a visual trigger of misophonia.
Does that usually go along? Because
Yes. For people who've had it for a while, it usually goes on there. Probably over 90% of the people with significant misophonia have visual triggers.
My father with his feet, rubbing his feet together.
Yeah, again, very common.
Horrible. Okay, let's see. Sister 70.
I need to.
Okay, thank you, Marilee. We're
you so
pushing out
much.
time. Anybody, Elena, can you come back next week?
Yes.
Okay, come back and write your questions down and come back next week.
Same time, same place.
Same time, same place.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I'm doing this every
Susan,
Saturday.
it's great you got your husband to come.
Yeah, and this will be life-changing right now, I could see.
Okay.
Wonderful. Good luck to you.
Tom, can I ask you though about, when you speak about research, have you heard of internal family systems?
I've heard of it, and it is. I don't know of any specific research being done with that, but it sounds like a lot of the things that, as a behavior scientist or behavior analyst, we don't call it internal family systems, but it's things that are similar to we do, and I do believe it probably is beneficial.
Because I'm wondering, because they have a lot of, places for research. And because I'm thinking that maybe if you could unburden the earliest trigger or the earliest learning about what's right and wrong and the body reaction to that, and unburden that early time, maybe that would also help.
That may be. My push for research is to understand that misophonia includes a learned physical flinch.
Yeah.
That's kind of my push for misophonia.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Okay, I will be back next week. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, and those who
Thank you.
stuck with this. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun today, and hope to have fun next week. So
Thank you. Bye-bye.
thank you. Goodbye, everyone. Oh, let me show you one last thing. I'm going to say my contact information before I shut this down.
Okay.
My contact information here is tom@misophonia.org, or any other email address you have for me.
Thank you.
Okay, very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.